So cloud computing. So here I am referring to book, that is Mastering Cloud Computing Foundation and Application Programming, and second is a Cloud Computing Principle and Paradigm. So first we will see the roots of cloud computing. So these are the roots of the cloud computing, where is hardware virtualization, internet technology, system management, and distributed computing. So very first we will see what is internet technology. So in internet technology, the first contain SOA, that is a service oriented architecture. So this is the SOA diagram. So it contains service requester, service provider, and service registry. The service requester who want a service. So the service requester is a send request to the service provider. So, and service registry which advertise the service, publish the service in registry, and it contained the nature of the service, how to use this particular service. So there is a one protocol, that is SOAP. This protocol is used in between the service requester and service provider. So SOAP is a simple object access protocol, and at a service provider it uses WSDL, that is web service definition language. So what is SOAP? This protocol is basically used for the exchanging message for communication in between the two services. The WSDL, it's a service interface definition. It defines the service operation and binding. Then web 2.0, it contain in internet technology. So web is the main thing which require to access the cloud services. So web 2.0 is bring a more flexibility, more interactivity in the web pages, and these all achieved with the help of a JavaScript, XML, Ajax, web services, and so on. So web 2.0, so there is an example of a web 2.0 is Google Document, YouTube, Blogger, Wikipedia, Facebook, Twitter. So these are the examples of web 2.0. So we all of us know that YouTube is a very user friendly, it's very attractive, and it's very easy to use for the user. Then web service mashup is again contained in internet technology. So web service mashup is nothing but combine the information from two different sites, and they are providing a new service. So instead of that, user can visit different website for collecting the information. It is creating a one website which combining which combine the information of two different website. Hardware, this is hardware virtualization. So this is a diagram. So where let's say if user is having a hardware virtualization. So virtualization is nothing but if user want a hardware but it is not available on their own system, so they use their hardware virtually. So if user is using an hardware virtualization, then guest system image is there. So guest system image is nothing but it contained the OS and installed application. We all of us know that suppose we are using a Windows operating system and we want to use a Linux operating system. So for that purpose, we there isn't one image of the Linux operating system which you can install from the internet. So in that particular image, Linux image, it contained the operating system and all the applications which is support the Linux operating system. So this is nothing but hardware virtualization. So this is just for the information purpose, the difference in between the virtualization and cloud computing. So grid and utility computing, again the grid is nothing but these both computing are come under the distributed computing. So grid computing is nothing but we can access the simultaneously storage database server. It generally uses for the complex system. Utility computing is nothing but we all of us know that on a daily basis we are using utility like natural gas, power, water, telephone connection. This is the uh, this is the utility things which we using in a daily life. So likewise in utility computing there is an also storage, compute, power, application, infrastructure, and so on. So here we are completing the roots of the cloud computing: internet technology, hardware virtualization, grid, and utility computing. So let's see the introduction about cloud. Uh, Nowadays, all the companies are using cloud to store their data because on a daily basis, huge amount of produce in a company. So it is not possible to store a huge amount of data on a physical machine. So that's why they use cloud. So when company is use a cloud, we cloud computing need to provide a protection on their data. Also, we need to protect the cloud data from attacker. So to detecting and preventing the attack of cloud is nothing but a cloud forensic. This is some digital forensic steps which is also we can perform when any cloud attack is happening. So there are three types of cloud: public, private, and hybrid cloud. So public cloud is nothing but pay as per use. So mainly public cloud is used by anybody. Private cloud is only used within the organization, and hybrid cloud is nothing but the combination of a public cloud and a private cloud. So basically if you want to store a very confidential information, then you can use a private cloud. So if there is an no at such confidential information, then you can store on a public cloud. So these are some different types of cloud. So next is a service model. So there are if you see the traditional IT, so all these things is managed so this application data runtime, so these all things is managed by user. So there are three basically service models of cloud: is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So in infrastructure as a service, we need to manage application data, runtime, and middleware. So there is an heroku cloud which provide us infrastructure as a service because we we need to create a runtime environment to deploy the project on heroku cloud. So we need github, we need git bash, we need a heroku cli. So this is some middleware so runtime environment to deploy your project on heroku cloud. So this is the example of infrastructure as a service. Platform as a service means we need only manage application or your data, rest of the things is managed by a cloud. Then software as a service, so all these things are managed by software itself. The best example is Gmail. There is a one p cloud is there, p cloud drive is there, which is also provide a software as a service. So basically infrastructure as a service, the example of this is Amazon Web Services, EC2, S3, CloudWatch. These are some instances of the AWS cloud. The EC2 is an instance which is used for the storing purpose. S3 is a database purpose. Then PaaS is nothing but Microsoft Azure Google App Engine. Then software as a service is basically used so in Gmail, Yahoo, Facebook, Twitter, all are coming under the software as a service. So basically infrastructure as a service is mostly used by IT folk. PaaS Then platform as a service is used by programmer, and software as a service is used by architect or users. So these are some features of a cloud computing where self-service, because user can deploy data on cloud. User can also manage their data. If user want to delete the data from cloud, user can delete it. So it's a basically a self-service. Per users meter and bill, as per the user, they pay bills. So pay as you go. Elastic, that means if organization is having two server but organization want to increase one more server, so organization can easily scale up. If organization want to decrease server, one server is sufficient for the organization, then they can easily scale down. Customizable is organization uses different form of cloud solution to meet their needs. So we need to protect the data uh, which is stored on cloud, because there is a number different types of cloud attack is happen. The so here some types of cloud attack. The very first is a cloud malware injection, where where attacker is infected the service on cloud, and because of that they can manipulate or steal the user data. The next attack is denial of service, where we can know if this type of attack is happen, then it is completely system get unavailable for the legitimate user. In short, your system get hang. So next is a distributed DDoS attack, where attacker can sending the multiple requests to the target system. Then man in the middle attack, where the attacker is basically placed in between the sender and the receiver, and attacker is modifying the messages which is sent by the sender, and actual messages get altered and it is sent to the receiver. Then side channel, the hacker is a place virtual machine on host. Insider, it is basically initiated by the legitimate user, means those user as authenticate user which is approved from admin. That user is trying to be perform an attack on a cloud. So these are some challenges and risk in cloud computing. So very first is the security, privacy and trust. So the security, we the cloud computing need to provide security on cloud data. Cloud computing need to protect the cloud users privacy, and there is a trust in between the user and cloud service provider. Then data lock-in and standardization. So what is the meaning of data lock? So next is a data lock-in and standardization. So data lock-in nothing but if users want to move their data from one cloud to the another, because it does not provide the requirement as per their need. So because of that there is a standardization. So there are so many open source standardization is available, which is used to by cloud service providers, so that they can provide the service to the cloud user, like service calling, standard service interface, standard resources, network management and so on. The next is availability, fault tolerance, disaster recovery. The availability is nothing but when user or any organization is moved their data on cloud, then all the service of cloud should be available to the user also. The next is a fault tolerance. If cloud server fail, then cloud service provider has to move all cloud user to another cloud server. Disaster recovery, if any data redundancy should be available to the cloud user, because if any disaster activity is performed and due to some problem, if all data lost or deleted from one server, it should be available to the another server. The next is resource management and energy efficiency. Resource management is should provide all resources to the multiple user. Energy efficiency, we should properly place the virtual machine to any physical machine. so that the energy of a physical machine should be managed. That means we should properly, so that we have to that means if your physical machine is in a position to handle the virtual machine or not. So these are some kinds of log file which is available. The very first is a system log file, which contain the date and time, device driver, evade system, upgrade information. Then next is application log file. It contains the detailed information about application. The next is audit log file. It contains the information about source and destination, the user login information. The next is a network log file, which contains the information related to the network, like if packet is dropped, is there any network traffic. The next is a web server log file, which contains the information like access time, IP address, and so on. The next is a security log file, which contains the malicious behavior. That means if for a rejected IP address by the system administrator, if that particular user is perform any malicious activity. So these are some possible vulnerability point where cloud log attack will happen at the time of log generation, at the time of collection of the log, where all the logs are stored on a cloud. So on that so log during the log storage also, cloud log attack will happen. If any malicious activity is performed, then investigator is analysis the log. So during the analysis of the log attack also happen. So this is some case study. So here I am using Heroku Cloud, which provides us a platform as a service, where I am deploying my GUI on Heroku with the help of these steps. So we need a git bash, we need Heroku CLI install on our system. This is next is a pcloud drive, which is basically available into our system like C and D driver. And this pcloud drive we can open into web browser also. This basically provide us software as a service.